So, you have an exit sign. Maybe you bought a new one or found an old one in an antique store. Possibly you saw one in a dumpster and decided to save it. Regardless on how you got your exit sign, you want it to light up, and I'll be showing you how. Typically, exit signs are hardwired into a building's electrical system, but in this video, I'll be showing you how to wire one with a power cord so you can plug it in anywhere and have it light up. This video, of course, applies to any standard electric exit sign, but it also applies to emergency lights and exit sign emergency light combos. I have this video divided up into multiple different chapters so you can refer yourself to different sections of the video if needed. Before we start, I would like to go over a few disclaimers about this video. The first is, while it is a tutorial, you are doing all of this at your own risk. I do not claim any responsibility on how you wire an exit sign based off of my method. Electricity is dangerous, and if you do not make the correct electrical connections and you do not do the correct electrical precautions, you can cause serious problems, such as electrocution or even fire. Always be careful with any electrical project and keep this in mind throughout this video. Secondly, this video is for recreational purposes only. It is not intended to be a guide or a how-to when installing an exit sign permanently in a commercial building. It's just for novelty reasons, again recreational if you have an exit sign you would like to display somewhere on a shelf or elsewhere, not for permanent real installations. Finally, this video only applies to North American exit signs and the North American electrical system. If you live elsewhere, this video likely will not be helpful. The first thing we need to do is open the exit sign so we have access to the internals and where we can connect to the wires. So there's a lot of different brands, models, and types of exit signs out there, so it can kind of vary on how you open them. So I'll try my best to show you the most common ways as well as a few uncommon ways so you can kind of piece together all of this information and open up an exit sign that you have if you don't already know how to open one. So the most common exit sign out there is the plastic one, like this one. Again, by far the most popular. And these pretty much all open the same. So if you notice on the bottom, there are two tabs. On the top, there's two tabs. And these actually hold in the exit sign's faceplate. So to open it using a flathead screwdriver, very gently press into the tab. And sometimes you'll hear a click, other times the screwdriver will just enter. So just like that, we'll do it on the other side. And now the face plates can be removed. And now we have access to the insides. Just so you are aware, I'm sure you noticed it, but there are also two tabs on the back of the exit sign as well. And these hold in the back plate, which we do not want to remove because it's easier if we take the exit face plate off first. Plus, most of the time these back plates are locked in from the inside, so the exit faceplate would have to be taken off anyway. This is another plastic exit sign, however this particular version is a little bit less common. If you notice on the bottom and the top, there's no tabs. However, here they are on the side. And it's the same deal, you insert your flathead screwdriver, but with this one you actually twist it like that. So there's the first one and the second one, and now we can remove the faceplate. Here's an older plastic exit sign that opens up in a unique way. So on the bottom it looks like there's three tabs, but these are actually not push-in tabs. The way you open up this one is by using a very small flathead screwdriver. You actually wedge it between the exit faceplate and the housing of the sign. So very carefully I will do that, and then you kind of pry out a little bit until the exit plate just snaps out. Let's move on to metal exit signs, as there's really not a standard way to open them compared to plastic ones. So with this metal exit sign, there are screws on the bottom, and using a Phillips head screwdriver, we will remove this screw completely out of the exit sign. With the bottom screw removed, we can slide the exit sign faceplate out just like this, and there's the inside. Another metal exit sign here. If we look around, there's really nothing noticeable. However, on this side, there are two screws which need to be removed. With the screws gone, this panel actually comes out, and now we can slide the exit sign faceplate out, and then this one has an LED board which we can also slide out. With this metal exit sign, there's nothing obvious anywhere on it, but the way you remove it is by actually force pulling on the faceplate, and it opens up kind of like a door it's hinged on. So I'll demonstrate that kind of by pulling, and now it pops open, and this stays on. It does not remove. It just, again, hinges open. Some older exit signs will actually have these top compartments above the exit sign itself, and usually on the inside it holds some electronics and a backup battery. If you have an exit sign like this you are trying to wire, you need to open up these compartments, because more than likely if you open up just the exit sign's faceplate, you will not find any wire connections on the inside. They will be up top. And just like with faceplates, how we were talking about how to remove them, the compartments on top are pretty much the same way. Now that we have the exit sign's faceplate removed, here's the insides. We are looking for some wires that look like this. You might find a black wire, a white wire, a green wire, a red wire, or an orange wire. Usually they are pretty much front and center, like with this exit sign. They are just hanging here. Some newer models of exit signs will have these quick connectors at the top, and if you get the exit sign brand new, they will include some wires that you actually punch into these quick connectors. On other exit signs, the wires might be hidden in some sort of compartment or separate part in the housing. You can see in this older exit sign, there's no wires to be seen, but you actually have to pull down this metal casing here, and there are the wires. So which wires do we need? Well, definitely we need the white wire on your exit sign. Some exit signs might also have a green wire. You can see right here. We also need it, if it has one. You can tell with this exit sign there is a green wire, which we need, but with this exit sign there is not one, so obviously we don't need it. The last wire we need is usually the black wire. I would say on 90% of exit signs it is the black wire. This is the 120 volt AC connection, which is what a standard electrical outlet provides. It's what a standard power cord operates on. So this is the wire, the black wire. Some exit signs might be dual voltage. This one, for example, is. It has this additional red wire. This is for 277 volts AC, which again, standard electrical outlets do not provide 277 volts, so we will not need this wire. The wire can vary in color. It's either red or orange. For this exit sign, it's red, but if we go back to this larger exit sign we were looking at earlier, you can see it's orange, but same thing. Sometimes these wires are also labeled. You might find a sticker wrapped around them that would say 120 volts, 277, and then either neutral or common for the white. So just to recap, we will need the white wire, the black wire, and if you have a green wire. But again, make sure the black wire is labeled 120 volts, or see if there's anything else in the exit sign or the manual or a sticker that says so. Some older exit signs, the 120 volt connection is actually brown instead of black. But anyways, so if you have this additional red wire or orange wire or other 277 volt wire, we need to cap it off. Just a side note too, if your exit sign only accepts 277 volts, unfortunately the power cord wiring method I'm showing you in this video will not work. Back to capping off this wire. So this is something called a wire nut. Some of you might be familiar with it, and it is designed to actually make electrical connections with wires. We'll talk more about this later, but if you have a red wire like this, you need to cap off the exposed end on it, because if you don't, you can actually be shocked by this wire, or it might move around and cause an electrical short somewhere else inside of the exit sign, which would not be good. So screw this down tightly, make sure it's nice and secure and will not pop off. Your exit sign might also have some additional wires that are for accessory connections, and you need to cap these off because we will not need them for this wiring setup. They are either different colors compared to the standard connections that we need, or they are much smaller. So this exit sign actually has an example of both. So these wires, you can see they are yellow and purple. Sometimes they are yellow and blue and have a sticker saying they are for accessories. And then they also have this set of wires that are red and black, again with a sticker, but they are much smaller compared to the standard connections. So be on the lookout for that. Your exit sign also might have battery backup, which means if the power ever goes out, the exit sign will stay on. In a real building, for real safety reasons, this is a good thing, because if the power ever goes out, you can see your way, like how you would get out of a building when the lights are out. But for our purposes, you might not want this. If you are a collector of exit signs like me, that's kind of a cool feature to have. But if you are just plugging in an exit sign for fun or display, you won't need it. This exit sign has these battery terminals. So ignore them. They normally plug into a set of batteries. Something else to be noteworthy of is older exit signs. These might not be covered. You can see in this newer one, they are covered in a clear sleeve and a black sleeve here, so they cannot touch each other and cause a short. Older exit signs might not have these covered, so it'd be a good idea to wrap something like electrical tape over them to prevent shorts. On newer exit signs like this one, you can see this really tiny battery, and here's the connector. It's all plastic, so there's nothing to be worried about. If you do want to use your backup battery, do not plug it in yet. We need to make the main wiring connections. Now that we know the wires that we need to connect to, let's pick out the proper power cord. So the cord we will need is called an appliance cord, and it's pretty much a plug on one end and hardwired connections on the other. They make two different styles. There's a 2-wire or 2-prong version, and then a 3-wire or 3-prong version. If you've determined that your exit sign only has 2 hookup wires, for example the black and white, you can use a 2-wire or 2-prong cord. However, if your exit sign has these 2 wires, the black and white, and also a green wire, you must use a 3-wire or 3-prong cord. Just before we make the actual wiring connections, we need to have an entry point for the power cord. There's 2 different methods to this, and one of them is a lot safer than the other, but I'll show you both of them and you can decide what would be best for you. So the first method is pretty much by knocking out one of these center holes on the exit sign. Most exit signs will have this. They will likely be on the back of it, sometimes the side or the top. On this metal exit sign, you can see there are many on the top and the sides. And the way you would remove one is by using a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. You can hit on the screwdriver to punch out the hole. I'll be honest with you, it really depends on the exit sign. Some of these are really easy to knock out, while other ones are such a pain. If you're kind of handy, you can get the right size drill bit and use a power drill to drill through the back, the side, or wherever's convenient for you. Another tip is these are mounting holes on the back of the exit sign. Just like with this center hole, you can do the same method with a flathead screwdriver and hammer to punch these out if you would ever like to mount your exit sign on a wall or some other place. Now we have a hole for our power cord. So this is pretty much where we get into method 1 and method 2 of doing this. The first method, we will install a cable clamp in this hole to securely hold on to the cable. This is what I'm talking about when I say cable clamp. Again, this is another hardware store find. These are called NM clamps, and they pretty much, you can see how they work. There's 2 screws that hold down these jaws, and you can loosen them to open up the jaws, and then you can insert your power cord through it, and then screw these down to safely hold on to the cable. And then on the back of it is a lock nut that you unscrew like this, and I'll demonstrate installing it. So you take the clamp, put it through the hole, and then there's the lock nut, which you screw on the threads of the clamp. And make sure the lock nut is secured and snug to the exit sign. You can use a pair of pliers to bite down and turn it if necessary. Then you can insert your wires through the clamp. You can open it up like this, push the wires through as much as you need, and then after that, using the proper type of screwdriver, you can screw down the clamp and make sure it is snug. You don't want to pinch the wires, but you want to make sure, again, they are snug and cannot be easily removed. So you can see it's holding, and I cannot pull the power cable out. The second method is pretty much the same thing, just not using this cable clamp. So again, I would like to mention the advantages of this is you can never accidentally pull out the power cord, because if you do, that means your electrical connections will most likely be disconnected, and again, you will have a shock hazard or possibly a short circuit, which isn't a good thing. And again, that's what this clamp prevents, because it holds on to the cable. So the second method pretty much does not use a clamp at all. Some plastic exit signs, they actually have these tabs on the top and the side, which you can press out like this, and then you can just run the wiring inside of these holes and connect them to the inside. And these holes, by the way, are for ceiling or wall mount canopies, but that's another way you can do it. You might be wondering, why am I even showing this method if it's not really safe? Because again, without the clamp, if the cord is ever pulled, you break the connections and have a serious problem. I'll be honest, from time to time I actually use this method for exit signs that I have on display or other reasons, so I just wanted to show it. Really, I would recommend the first method with the clamp. That's the safest one. Again, I recommend it, but if you are very, very cautious, I think you would be okay with the second method. Just again, be very careful to never pull on the power cable. It's now time for us to wire the exit sign, and at this point it's pretty easy. It's just color to color. I mentioned earlier about wire nuts, which these are what connects the wires together. You can buy these at most hardware stores. They make them in many different sizes and variety packs and whatnot, so you can buy what you think is best for you. I would recommend a variety pack of different sizes, which I'll tell you why a little bit later. So for an exit sign, most of the time you need 3 to 4 of these wire nuts. So of course remember to cap off the orange or red wire or other accessory wires that are in your exit sign, so we do not have any shocks or electrical shorts. So there we go, capped off, all good. So this exit sign has a green wire, and you might notice it has this little sleeve over it. Some exit signs do this. When you get them new, you can pull that off. And now we pretty much, let me zoom in, you need to match the length of the wires together. So if you have some wire strippers or wire cutters, depending on what you like to call them, make sure you cut them off at the same length, like that. And then we can use a wire nut and twist them on like so until it is snug and feels secure. And just like that, we have our first connection. So that's the green wire. And now you do the same thing with the black and white. If you have an older or used exit sign, you might notice the connections are like this. Usually it's a good idea to just cut these old connections off and re-strip them just to have a brand new fresh connection for your exit sign cord. Sometimes you might find that a wire nut just constantly spins. It never seems to get tight. And if this happens, you need to either replace the wire nut, because occasionally they can get jammed up and not tighten, or you need a different size. And that's why I recommend getting a variety pack of wire nuts so you can change sizes out if necessary. So I changed the size out on this one, and now it is able to be tightened and secured. And of course we will do this one more time with the black wire and make sure it is nice and secure, just like that. So with all of your connections made and your unused connections cap, that's pretty much it. I'll give you a few other tips though. So sometimes with exit signs, when you have all the wires made and the connections are just loose on the inside like this, you might see shadows. So if you can, some exit signs have these compartments. If it's possible, you can tuck the wires into these compartments out of the way. You can see I was able to tuck these connections into the compartment so there will not be any shadows when we put on the exit sign faceplate. So I just demonstrated how to wire an exit sign that requires a 3-wire or 3-prong cord, and I'll show you how to wire a 2-prong cord. Again, it's pretty much the same thing. There's really no difference minus the additional green wire. So this method I'm not using the clamp, I'm just running it in through the top. So same deal, make sure the wires are the same length. Use the proper wire nut and screw it down until it is tight. So again, they are the same length, and we will tighten this connection down. And you might notice there are no connections that need to be capped. There are no additional wires we need to worry about. So with this exit sign, you'll notice there's no compartments that I can stick these wires in. So sometimes exit signs will have these little clamps on the inside that can hold down the wires. Oftentimes they break. I know cheaper brands will break. This exit sign's actually semi-decent, so I can kind of stick the wires down. But something else you can do is use electrical tape or some other sort of tape, like Scotch tape, maybe duct tape, and you can tape these connections to the back of the exit sign like this, so again there are no shadows that appear. With the electrical connections made, we are ready to plug in the exit sign, and I have an outlet on a cord here for demonstration and just makes it easier. So let's do it. Let's plug it in. This exit sign will be green. And as far as battery backup goes, if you're interested in that, if your exit sign has a backup battery and you'd like to use it, now would be the time to plug it in. Of course, if your exit sign's on, be careful not to touch anything electronic so you don't get shocked. And if you are more comfortable, you can actually plug in the backup battery, just before you plug in the exit sign, that's totally fine. And we can snap the exit sign's faceplate on just like that, or reassemble it however you need to. And here it is, ready to go. And that's how you wire an exit sign with a power cord. I really hope this video was able to help you wire your exit sign so now you can have it on display or hang it above your door. If you have any questions or are having trouble with anything I was showing in this video, please let me know in the comment section below and I'll try my best to help you out. If you're like me and have an interest in exit signs and want to learn more or see more in action, I have many videos on my channel all about exit signs, and I have a whole playlist full if you'd like to see them. But if not, thanks so much for watching this video. Again, I really hope I was able to help you out, and yeah, enjoy your exit sign, and I hope to catch you in another video. See ya!